Good morning and welcome to ABC News Breakfast. It's Wednesday, the 27th of November. I'm Michael Rowland.
And I'm Virginia Trioli. Good morning. These are our top stories today. Indonesia's president demands Australia sign up to an intelligence code of ethics.
The federal government defends its backflip over school funding.
We're not committed to a bad model, and I said that before the election.
This is crazy, and this is a broken promise to every parent in Australia.
The terrifying moment when a tiger attacked an Australia zookeeper.
And England's cricket team arrives in Alice Springs as they try to get their Ashes campaign back on track.
Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono is calling on Australia to sign up to a new code of ethics on intelligence gathering. He says bilateral cooperation will not resume until Australia signs up to the new behaviour protocols.
The condition is included in his response to a letter from Prime Minister Tony Abbott aimed at easing tensions over the spying row.
The Australian Prime Minister agrees and supports the proposal to restructure the bilateral cooperation agreement, including the exchange of intelligence by composing protocols and codes of conduct that are clear, fair and will be adhered to. There are allegations against two countries, Singapore and South Korea. They have reportedly helped Australia and America in the interception of communications under the sea in Asia and other regions, although not specifically mentioning Indonesia. I have instructed our Foreign Minister to ask for an explanation from the country's envoys. The relationship between the people of Indonesia and Australia is actually going well, and it must be maintained. Australia is not going to do something in the future that would adversely affect and interfere with Indonesia, and it's an important point.
Thanks, Michael. A tiger handler is recovering in hospital after being mauled at Australia Zoo on the Sunshine Coast. The zoo says the Sumatran tiger became overexcited during a play session. Colleagues had to drag the 30-year-old trainer to safety. He was airlifted to the Royal Brisbane Hospital, where he is in a serious but stable condition. Parts of a Brisbane suburb have been evacuated as fire crews battle a large blaze. The four-storey building in Albion is believed to be an old flour mill. Police say power is out in some parts of Albion, including trains. Roads are also closed and disruptions are expected for several hours. The cause of the fire is not yet known, but it's being treated as suspicious. Witnesses have reported seeing men running away from the scene. A new report card says people with mental illness should be offered appropriate coordinated treatment. The report says too many people are not getting the help they need. Only 25% of young people seek treatment for mental health issues. The situation is worse for young men and boys. Only about 15% of them ask for help when faced with a mental illness. Pope Francis has delivered a mission statement for his papacy, calling for an end to the concentration of power in the Vatican. The Pope wants to move away from the attitude, "we've always done it this way." He says he'd prefer a church that was bruised, hurting and dirty, rather than an unhealthy church that's clinging to its own security. There's no sign of an end to Thailand's political crisis. Thousands of demonstrators are continuing to occupy government buildings. They're accusing Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra of being a puppet of her brother Thaksin, who was ousted in a military coup. The Thai Parliament is debating a no-confidence motion against Ms Yingluck. Now, a quick look at finance for you. US markets continue to climb towards new records. London's FTSE, however, fell almost 1% overnight. The Aussie dollar is buying 91. The front pages of the major newspapers around the country. The Guardian Australia today says that Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono has reassured Canberra that relations between the two countries were in essence very good, despite the spowing row, and that they must be safeguarded.
Education Minister Christopher Pyne has announced he's scrapping the Better Schools plan and redesigning the system based on the Howard government's model. The Sydney Morning Herald has that story.
The Canberra Times says the decision threatens to haunt the coalition because it breaks an election pledge to ensure that schools are as well off as they would have been under Labor.
The Financial Review writes that the political approach now being taken is calamitous and risks a High Court challenge.
The Australian says the military has been left in a perilous position with deteriorating bases and an inflexible budget because of the unpredictability of Labor's defence reforms.
In Victoria, The Age reports that the Napthine government has regained the numbers in Parliament after two Labor MPs were kicked out in another turbulent session of question time.
The Herald Sun says renegade Frankston MP Jeff Shaw wants Parliament to intervene and have criminal charges against him thrown out.
The Northern Territory News says Nullarbor faces a slow, strangling death after Rio Tinto abandoned plans that were crucial to the future of the Gove aluminium refinery.
The Daily Telegraph says Australia Zoo staff members risked their lives to rescue a colleague who was attacked by a Sumatran tiger.
The incident was captured in this dramatic photo in the West Australian. Australia Zoo is investigating why the experienced handler was attacked.
The Courier Mail details the court appearance of a teenager charged with murdering a South Korean student. The arrest came after a tip-off to police.
Residents in bushfire danger zones should be forced to lodge action plans if they want to stay and defend their homes. That story is in The Advertiser.
And the Mercury details one of the biggest real estate deals in the state's history. The SCA Property Group has bought 7 shopping centres at a cost of $145 million. It's pretty cheap for 7 shopping centres.
It is. It's quite a shopping spree, though. Now, there's been lots of commentary about the Indonesian president responding to Tony Abbott's letter. It took some time for the letter to actually get into the Indonesian president's hands. He flew to Bali just as the letter was arriving in Jakarta. The Australian's fantastic cartoonist Bill Leak has this take on the delay and perhaps who may have seen the letter first. So has the president read my letter yet? No, but the Germans, Chinese and Americans all think it's terrific.
Well, I spy, you spy, we spy, and I spy with my eye in the sky. Something beginning with Dear SBY. So Bill Leak has had some rhyming fun with that this morning. The other big issue, of course, follows on from what was the big issue yesterday and will continue to be an issue that, according to some papers this morning, as you saw, will haunt the new government, and that's the backflip on the Gonski education reforms. As we were saying yesterday, before the election, the then opposition was saying they were a unity ticket with the government, that there will be no surprises, that you can expect no change. If you vote for the government's education reforms, then you're voting for the same education reforms if you vote for us, said the opposition then. Well, that's not only a huge backflip, but according to some, is that the coalition, as Julia Gillard was branded by some of her critics, the coalition are actually now liars. Have a look at what Laura Tingle has had to say in the Australian Financial Review today. Government of no surprises rewrites history with Gonski. And then Laura Tingle goes on to say, it now seems the coalition neutralised a positive issue for Labor by lying about his intentions. That's the only possible conclusion that you can draw.
Good morning. Yes, pretty tough to sleep. Look at that. Currently it is 28 degrees. Top of 37 today. Cool change is due late this afternoon and then dropping back to 22 tomorrow. The warmer weather is ahead of a trough, and in Western Australia there's a trough of low pressure. This is deepening and will clash with a mid-level disturbance causing heavy rains across the south this morning. In the north we still have a slow-moving monsoonal trough. As for ex-tropical cyclone Alicia, it's still keeping everyone guessing. It is close to Groote Eylandt this morning and still looks like it will head into the Gulf of Carpentaria. The monsoonal flow will continue to cause scattered showers and thunderstorms across Queensland's north, and we'll get scattered showers along the coast from Cairns to Airlie Beach. Hot winds in the west as Mount Isa heads for a top of 41 degrees. Brisbane 28. New South Wales, apart from a little cloud around the north and the south coast, a sunny and warmer day. Sydney heading for 25 degrees and Broken Hill a top of 38. Also a hot day in Victoria, little high cloud about, but the cool change won't come through until tomorrow. Melbourne heading for 32 degrees, 39 in the northwest. Tasmania, a few afternoon showers for inland areas, and this evening a low pressure trough from South Australia will extend into the north, producing scattered showers, 19 degrees for Hobart. South Australia, total fire ban across 13 districts, doesn't include Adelaide or the south coast. A little bit cooler today in the west, high 20s, possibly get showers and thunderstorms for this afternoon to the west of about Coober Pedy to Ceduna. In Western Australia, and heavy rain and thunderstorms will develop this morning. It may lead to flash flooding with severe warnings for the Goldfields, Eucla and southeast coast. This area likely to get up to 50 millimetres, or some areas even more so, around up to 100. That's around the northern Goldfields and down into the southeast coast. A very warm day in Perth, heading for a top of 34 degrees. Showers and storms about the interior, and we still have the threat of flooding about the NT's Arnhem and Roper Macarthur districts, with heavier rains around the Territory's west coast. Looking ahead to tomorrow, sunny in Brisbane, a top of 30 degrees, windy in Canberra 33, and a cloudy day for Perth with a top of 32.